Y'all already know what it is. Jay Williams, Let's Live Life, and we're back. Could you imagine going to prison for defending yourself? For defending the people you love. Somebody tries to hurt you, tries to kill you, and you kill them. Now you got to go to prison. Somebody hurts somebody you love, and you kill them, and you end up in prison. It's a sad reality for a lot of dudes. Some guys, I guess you could say, were looking for trouble, and others were just looking to stay alive. But either way, it ends with you incarcerated. It's crazy, man. You know I done seen it. You know I done lived through it. So let's relive it. Couple things real quick. Excuse the noise. I don't know if y'all can be able to hear it, but the truck's running. It's hot outside. It's supposed to be like, I think, a little 92 today. So I gotta have the AC on. It's hot in this bitch. Secondly, been gone for a couple days. I might throw some clips of the house in. Somebody tried to compare me to somebody else because, you know, I flip houses. Been flipping houses since shortly after I got out. This is what I do. But I've been with a deadline on this. The investor has been here non-stop. The man has been on my ass, just down on me to get this done, so I haven't had time to record. So that's that. Third, my 100K, plaque has been ordered. It's in the making. Salute to all my real ones, to all y'all. Without y'all, none of that would have been possible. Y'all have gotten us to where we are today. And, give all thanks to y'all. You guys and God, man. I'm just a messenger. I'm just a guy that retells the past in hopes of changing someone else's future. In hopes that someone else can actually get a glimpse into the world I used to live in, the life I used to live, walk in my shoes without ever having to put them on or actually walk in my shoes. So with all that being said, to catch up real quick, let's go ahead and get into today's first story. Now, I personally know what it is to want to do something to somebody really bad, to have plans on doing something to somebody really bad when you see them, and not because that's so much what you want to do, but because that's what they've brought you to believe that you have to do when you see them. When I caught my sentence before I got arrested, I was on the run. Cops are looking for me everywhere, searching high and low, wanting on this robbery, malicious wounding. Dude was in pretty bad shape, so at the time, robbery, homicide was looking for me. I'm in the wind. I'm gone. You know what I mean? Y'all, like I said, I'm the gingerbread man. Catch me if you can. They do catch me. They end up catching me in Philly, right? I'm one here in Virginia. They catch me in Philly. Fly my dumb ass back here. And, it was like boys to men. End of the road. I was done with it. But prior to that, the guy I got into it with, the guy I robbed, a lot of people felt some type of way about that. A lot of people wanted to get at me. Several times they tried to box me in, use females to trick me to get me their locations. That was because they wanted to kill me. Guys would call my phone all throughout the night, cocking guns into the phone. You know what I mean? You can hear shotguns being shucked. You can hear the pistols click clack. Dudes just cocking guns in the phone, telling me, when we see you, it's over for you. We'll smoke your boots. We'll kill you. Me hearing that, I know that if I run into one of them, and I know who these guys are, just based off of what they told me they're going to do to me, based off of what they said, I believe them. So if I see y'all before y'all see me, you better believe, even though it's not what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and do what I have to do, because, like I said, y'all have convinced me that y'all going to do something bad to me. I met quite a few guys in prison that had similar situations. And see, Virginia's messed up. It's not like Texas, where if somebody comes on your property, you can shoot them. Virginia stand your ground laws are just all messed up. Somebody can break in your house, be in your house in the middle of the night, dressed in all black, stealing, doing whatever. You shoot them, that's a murder charge. They have to be in the act of harming you or someone you love in your house for you to take their life. Otherwise, they look at it like, why didn't you call the police and let the police handle it? You just killed a man. That's the police's job. You should have let them handle it. You didn't. You handled it. Now we're going to handle you. First one I'm going to get into is a dude by the name of Troy, right? Troy worked maintenance with me. And before we get into Troy's story, let me break this down. We've talked in the past how the West Coast makes people show their paperwork. East Coast don't do that. East Coast, we're more, when I say we, I just mean the prisons, the code is more along the lines of mind your business. We don't be in other people's business. Don't be questioning people about nothing. Mind your business. That's how prison goes over here. I didn't make the rules. I walked into the rules just like everybody else that had been there before me and everybody that had been there before them, right? So you can be around somebody for a very long time and not know why they are locked up. They can lie to you and you not know. I've been tricked in the past. I've had dudes lie to me in the past, and then they come out later on down the line that they really had this charge when they lied and said they had this type of charge, right? I've been tricked, I've been got. So some guys are going to put their personal stuff out there. Some guys want their story told. Some guys want advice. Some guys just want somebody to listen. You get a lot of those guys. Well, I had this guy, Troy, working with me. And Troy had been down, maybe 10 years. And we all knew Troy had a whole lot of time. When I mean a whole lot of time, like, Troy wasn't ever going home. And Troy wasn't far off from the same age I was. Troy was maybe 30. 35, somewhere around there at the time, maybe 5 years older than me. Troy was one of those dudes that did not feel he should be locked up, and Troy would talk to everybody that would listen about his case. He had written every senator, governor, mayor, you name it. Troy had handwritten a letter to everybody, police departments, law firms. He had pushed every type of appeal there was trying to get out of prison. We're just sitting in the shop one day. We had this maintenance shop where if we didn't have any service calls, any actual work to be done in the prison, we would repair floor buffers, televisions, washers and dryers, any of the other things that go throughout the prison, microwaves, hot pots. And I'm sitting there and I got a washing machine torn apart, replacing the water pump on it. And Troy sitting across from me, replacing some brushes in a floor buffer and redoing some wiring. And he gets to rambling about his case. Like, he's more or less frustrated that, he's not getting nowhere. He's been locked up all this time. And he just starts talking to me. And, he goes into the story of how he got locked up. Troy tells me, he said, man, it's crazy. These people don't want to hear me. They don't want to let me out. And I shouldn't be here, man. I was just defending myself. I was scared for my life. Thought these guys were going to kill me. So, I jumped out there, which kind of made me, raise an eyebrow and look over. I said, what you talk about, man? He was like, with my case. Like, I ain't told you about my case? I'm like, nah, man. We never really talk about nothing. He says, yeah, man, I got into it with some guys out in the streets. He said, and it was my bad. It was my bad. He said, my brother had got locked up on a drug charge, and my brother was staying with me, and my brother had, a bunch of dope and a bunch of coke that belonged to these guys. He said, well, he gets, locked up one night selling dope. That's the end of him. He ain't gonna be home for a while, so we go ahead and clean his room out, box all his stuff up. We're gonna take it to, he said, we're gonna take it to my mom's house, let her deal with his belongings, and we're gonna use that room for something else now. You know what I mean? My brother's locked up. He said, I'd messed with drugs in the past. I guess you could say I was a recovering addict. He said, but that was because I had cut my friends off and I had pretty much killed any type of means of me getting around drugs or messing with drugs. He said, well, while we're cleaning my brother's bedroom out, I run across a bunch of coke and a bunch of dope bagged up. He said, I had a fiance at the time, a little boy. He said, I didn't say nothing to her about none of the drugs I found. He said, I took them and shoved them into a sock, tied it in a knot, and I put it in the top of the closet. He said, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I can't tell you why I kept it. I should have thrown it away. He said, but at the time we had the house phone. My brother would always be making calls from the house phone, calling this person, that person. He said, one night, late night, the phone rings. And I pick up the phone, and I'm like, it was, you know, who's this, da-da-da. He said, and dude goes on to tell me, hey, I spoke with your brother, and your brother said he left the rest of my stuff at your house in his bedroom. I need to come by and pick that up. He said, am I at fault for lying? Yeah, I'm at fault. He said, but I told him I didn't find nothing. Dude told me, you're a liar. Your brother said he bagged up, took what he needed with him to sell that night, and the rest of it was, left in the dresser drawer. That you said you cleaned out the room. There's no way you didn't find it. He's like, well, maybe I dumped it in the trash. Dude's like, let's stop playing with me, man. I need my stuff. That's a lot of money worth of drugs right there. I need to get that up off of you, man. Don't play with me. Troy said he told dude, man, I ain't got nothing belongs to you, and I can't give you nothing I ain't got. Dude hangs up in his face. He said from there he starts getting little calls, being threatened. His girl's getting threatened. Sees weird cars driving by the house here and there. I said, damn dog, how much product did you find? He was like, it's a couple ounces of heroin. For sure, a couple ounces of heroin. He's like, maybe an ounce and a half of powder, maybe another half ounce or so of crack. He was like, so it was a good amount. I said, why you ain't just give it back? He's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's like, maybe the junkie in me knew that I was going to end up getting high or whatever the case may be. He said, but I just didn't. I didn't feel I had to. I didn't feel like I had to answer these dudes. He said in the weeks to come, man, he would get more and more calls. Other dudes calling him, threatening him. Hey, bro, I'm about to stop by and pick that up. I don't have anything. I'm not trying to hear that, man. I'm about to stop by and pick that up. So he would tell him, like, look, man, I don't have any drugs. I don't mess with nothing like that. Like, I got a family here. If y'all come by on some crazy shit, I'm going to shoot. I'm not playing with y'all, man. Y'all talking about doing something to me, doing something to my girl. Like, y'all going to do something to us if I don't produce some drugs or some money that I ain't got. He said, I guess when I made that comment, I'm at fault because it changed the whole pace and the whole way that this thing was going. It went from, we'll show up there, beat your ass, we'll show up there and do this, that to you, to once I told him, y'all come by here, I'm going to give you what you're looking for. He's like, it went to them talking, making threats about killing me and my family. He said, Jay, this goes on for a good minute, man. He said, one night, I'm on the phone, and this dude is called again from another number. I'm steadily calling my phone company, blocking these numbers. I'm not answering numbers I don't know, but this one number kept calling. He said, dude told him, look, I'm done playing. I'm on the way to your house now. You either gonna give us what belongs to us, we're gonna kill everybody in the house, straight up. Straight like that. We're on the way. Got my homeboys with me. We all strapped up. When we get to your house, best thing for you to do would be walk out the door, or we'll roll down the window, give us what belongs to us, and we'll pull off. We already took a loss with what your brother got caught with, so just give us the rest of our stuff back, and we'll leave. He said he got off the phone with them. They're heated, like they're fighting back and forth. He's telling y'all better not come to my house. I swear to God, I'll kill all y'all. And they tell him that's what it is. When we get to your house, man, and we're talking, we just gonna open fire on your bitch ass. Go in there and find it. He said he goes out, and this is where he messed up. He said he goes out and he's sitting there, and he said he had this old Remington 500 shotgun, pump action. Said it'd been around for many, many years, man. He said they pull up in the driveway, and dude goes to get out the car. He said when they pull up, the music's blasting, the windows are down. He can see there's a whole bunch of dudes in the car, and they pull up all fast, like in the gravel. He said when dude went to go get out the car, he didn't even give him a chance. He said, I really felt like once they got out that car, they were going to point guns at me and start shooting at me. He's like, and I thought that since they were on my property, I had the right to do what I wanted to do to them, right? He said, so no sooner than the passenger goes to open the door, he said, I take the pump shotgun, I rack it, I aim it at the passenger side of the car, and I squeeze off. Re-rack, squeeze off. He said, I let all 5 shells in that shotgun go. Wipe the car out. He said, I go inside the house, and I call the police and tell them, hey, people came to harm me. I just shot and killed them in my driveway. Y'all need to get here fast. Like, it's by now, the neighbors have come outside. He said, you know, this is later in night, 10:30, 11, I guess. He said he didn't get up close to the car. He said it was just, he said what that shotgun did was just completely make a mess of everything inside that car. Everybody in that car. He said they were, where the gravel was situated from his front steps, he said it was maybe 12 feet, maybe a little less. Definitely no more than 12 feet. So I don't know if you know what a shotgun would do at that range. With a face shot, a neck shot, a head shot, it will tear all that off. It will obliterate anything it hits, especially when you're shooting like buckshot, triple aught buck, all that stuff. It would just rip your whole head clean off your shoulders, right? There were 4 people in that car. All 4 people died. Turned out that once the cops got there and started looking into it, there was 2 dudes in the front and 2 girls in the back. 2 girls that I guess just thought they were riding around with dope boys doing what they do at night. And they didn't have a single firearm. Not a gun, not a knife, nothing that could have hurt this dude in any way possible other than their mouths. Homicide gets there. They start investigating. They take the firearm from him. They arrest him. 4 counts of second-degree murder on all 4 people in the car. He goes on to tell them about the threats and the phone conversations and all that. They don't believe him. Police get to asking him, well, why would y'all be fighting? What were y'all going back and forth over? And he tells them, drugs. You know, it's drug related behind my brother. He said he hadn't done a lot of the drugs that he found, but he had started messing with them. And once he started messing with them, he decided, hey, I'm not giving them back, right? He said, even before I started messing with them, I decided I wasn't going to give them back. He said, so now the police want to know, all right, well, where's the stuff that you got? He goes in the house, gets what's left of it, brings it out to the police. At that point, they have, arrested him for the 4 second-degree murder charges. Now they've hit him with possession of heroin, intent to distribute, possession of crack cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. Said when he went to trial, the prosecutor pointed this out and made this out to be a drug deal gone bad. The prosecutor discredited everything he said, questioned him. If you felt like your life was being threatened, why didn't you call the police? If you found drugs in the room after your brother went to jail, why didn't you call the police? If these guys were after you behind these drugs, why didn't you just give them back? They made him out to be a complete liar. Made him out to be this murdering, drug-dealing criminal in the courtroom when that couldn't be further from the truth. He was ultimately sentenced, and from what I know, he wasn't going home. I think he got like 20, 25 on each body. Then he got all the time for the dope and all the different distribution charges. And, when it's all said and done, he'd have to live longer than a vampire to come home. They never listened to anything he had to say. Never believed it. Never even took the time to possibly think that anything he was saying could be true. So Troy ended up with way more than a life sentence, spending the rest of his life still in prison, is in prison to this day. All because he says he felt threatened. Now, there's so many things that I'm sure y'all can agree he could have done differently. But let me tell you this, and this is the facts. Once the handcuffs go on, don't none of that matter. Once you're arrested, arraigned, charged, sentenced, and sent off to prison, shoulda, coulda, woulda, none of that shit means nothing. What you should have done, what you could have done, what you would have done, doesn't matter. It's all based on what you did do. Troy wasn't a bad dude. He did used to irritate me because all he did was talk about his case. All he did was bother anybody that knew anything about the legality of what he had going on in legal terms and could possibly get his case back in court. He had been down too long. He had ran out of chances. He had ran out of ways to get back in court. And after a certain amount of time in prison, that happens. You run out of options when it comes to what appeal to push. It's a crazy, crazy story, man. Troy said that when he had to look, when he sat at trial, and that they showed the pictures to the jury of what he had done with that shotgun, he said it was one of the worst things I'd ever seen in my life. The TV pictures you might see here or there, none of that does any justice for what this stuff looks like when you know you're responsible for it. Troy's wife left him shortly after, not just because of what happened that night, but because of the fact that he had told the courts that, you know, he was getting high and had started getting high. So she left him. She was going to leave him either way because he had relapsed, was back on the dope again. But yeah, what would you have done? You're getting death threats. People telling you they're on your way out to your house right now. They'll kill you when they get there. Would you have called the cops? Would you have waited for them to fire first? Would you have opened fire on that car and killed everybody in that car? I honestly believe, had it been me in that situation, I wouldn't have been on the front steps. I believe I'd have moved off somewhere else where they couldn't see me. I would have waited for them to exit the vehicle. And if I saw guns in their hands, that's when I think I'd open fire. But Troy literally jumped the gun. Crazy, crazy story. Now, I've told y'all in the past, and I got a lot of different stories like this, man. Guys like to confide in you when they get tattooed. Guys like to talk. I can't tell you how many stories I got on guys that just talked about their cases while they were locked up in the midst of getting a tattoo. I run into a guy while I'm locked up named Burner. And you can use your mind on why they called him Burner. But they called him Burner. Burner's a South Side boy from the South Side of Richmond. He was known in them streets. He was known for beating people's ass. You know, you beat your ass out there. He was known for rumbling. He was also known for shooting them guns off. He was known for that gunplay. Burner lives in South Side. He lives out in one of the projects out in South Side, 2001. Says he meets this girl out at the club one night. He said, man, shorty was bad. He was like, she was bad, like bad. He said, so I link up with the girl that night. We danced, we drank, you know, I'm buying her drinks all night. He said, one thing leads to another. She ends up leaving the club with me. And we head out, you know what I mean? We go get a spot. I don't remember if he said it was his house or a motel, whatever. But they go somewhere, they link up. They do the nasty. He starts messing with the girl on a regular basis, right? Said the dude that she was with prior to him starts just blowing the phone up all the time. This the old Nokia phones, the big long silver ones. He said dude is just on her ass, talking about, put dude on the phone, I know you messing with somebody else. And she's telling him, we ain't together, blah, blah, blah. I told you, women, jealousy, things of that nature. I cannot tell you how many men I know that are locked up behind a woman, behind something that's got to do with a woman. He said he gets tired of hearing dude's mouth, and he's like, oh, give me the phone, man. So he takes the phone from the girl, and he's like, oh, who is this, man? They get into it back and forth on the phone, right? So he said the dude asked him who he was. He said, I told him who I was, where I be at, who I am, and that if he wants to see me, this is what I drive. All you got to do is pull up, I'll beat your ass, you can go on about your business, right? He said that at first he never expected dude to really pull up. The girl was like, hey, he's crazy, he's crazy. He was like, but from how he talked on the phone, like, I ain't seen him pulling up, man. I thought he was just snatching ass on the phone, selling wolf tickets, right? Like, this dude ain't about to pull up on me, especially down in my hood. Like, I'll beat his ass. He said it wouldn't be long, man. This is not even maybe a week and a half after him and this girl start messing around that he's out there one night with his homeboys and them posted up. Dude pulls up on him. Asked him, who's such and such, who's Burner? Says, I'm Burner. Walks up to the car, asks dude, who is you? Dude tells him, dude's still in the car. He said, just on the fact that homeboy came out to my hood where I lived at, like, beat your ass. He said he ain't allowed dude to get out the car or nothing. He said dude was in the car with the window rolled down, had pulled up in a parking spot and put it in park. And when dude was getting ready to, to open the door, Burner said he pushed the door back, reached in the car, hit the dude in the face, grabbed him by his shirt, and just started hitting him, drilling him. He said I messed him all up. The whole side of his face was just hamburger meat. He said it was all knotted up, knots everywhere. I left dude slumped in the car right in front of all my homeboys. He said I go back over to my homeboys and them. He said we could have done him dirty. We could have opened the car doors, ran his pocket. He said there was a backpack in the back seat. He said we could have took that and God knows what was in it. He said, man, I trashed dude, man. Straight completely smashed dude, right? He said after a couple minutes, man, and he said they were a little bit ways down on the sidewalk. He said he sees that lights on the car turn back on. The car drives reverse, speeds off real fast. Dude's just like, man, that ain't cool, man. You just whoop dude's ass like that. You know he's gonna be back, right? He's telling me all this while I'm in the midst of tattooing Southside across the back of his shoulder blades. That's what his tattoo was. And these big, like almost like block letters, like said Southside, repping his set where he's from, right? He said he continues to mess with the girl and she didn't really like hanging out there where he lived at because one, his homeboys and them were grimy and they was gonna try to get at her. And two, it was just a bad project, bad neighborhood, right? He said so he's with her off and on, man, most days. He sees her, pretty much every day. And that dude calls and tells him, next time you see me, homeboy, it's gonna be gunfire, straight up. Like, you got it. That was my bad for slipping. I should have just pulled up and popped your bitch ass. But instead, hey, you got me. But I'm gonna be back out there, and I'm telling you now, the next time you see me, it's gonna be gunfire, straight up. Ain't gonna be no talking. Next time you see me, you're gonna see a flash. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. Take your ass whooping like a man. You better stay from around here. Or come out here on that dumb shit, because I'm gonna smoke your boots. Burner said, I always stay strapped, Jay. He said, me being out there without a gun was unheard of. He said, people were getting killed out here left and right. It wasn't a week that somebody wasn't getting killed. He said, it was so much shooting. Innocent people were getting hit with bullets. He said, a couple months prior to this, a little kid that got hit by a bullet, a bullet that went through a bathroom wall and hit a little kid. I think he said the lady was bathing the kid or something like this. It wasn't nothing related to him. It's just some of the things that had happened out there with these dudes going back and forth. You had other neighborhoods coming through there on some rival, drug dealing stuff. So it was like a little war going on at the time, as you may say. He said, so I always had my gun on me. He said, tell me why one night is late night. He said, there's a whole bunch of us out there, man. He said, about 5, 6 of us out there. He said, then you got junkies coming up, pulling up, walking up. Junkies out there, beside the building, getting high, going behind the building to get high, in the stairwells getting high. He said, it's a typical weekend. It is jumping out there. He said, there's dudes sitting in their car just with the car doors open, the music playing, the trunks pop, bass going. He said, we're just out there being block boys doing what we do, right? He said, the music, mind you now, is loud. I mean, it's loud. He said, and I'm standing by a car with one of my homeboys talking about my homeboy, and I hear a noise. He said, but I couldn't really, I couldn't make it out because of how loud my homeboy's music was. He said, this is no bullshit, Jay. He said, the second time I heard the noise, I felt something go by my head. He said, when I turned around and looked, it was dude. He said, dude's car was parked right in the middle of the street with the lights on, and I looked around. He said, Some people were running, some people were still just standing there watching what was going on. He said, dude had already shot at me twice with this revolver. He said, so I pulled my gun out, aimed at him. My aim was much better than his. Not to mention, he's standing in front of his car, like off in the distance, with the headlights on. He's like, so he's well lit up. I'm over here standing where it's kind of dark, so it's not that, you know, you can tell who I am because of how big I am, and I'm easy to spot out there. We got street lights and stuff. He said, but this dude was way more illuminated because his dumb ass had the headlights on, right? He said, dude's done popped 2 shots at me with this revolver he's got, right? He said, I just dumped the clip. Bang, 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 bang. Ate him up, laid him out, right? He said, I take off running with the gun, you know, I get up out of there. My car's parked over in another parking lot. I get in my car, I leave. He said somebody else out there ends up getting jammed, which is something that happens a lot. Somebody else gets jammed with something else. And tell him a few weeks later I'm responsible for the homicide that happened in the parking lot. He said I would go on to be convicted of murder for killing this dude in this parking lot. And I tried to claim self-defense because he shot at me. He said, here's the problem, Jay. He said, after I shot the dude, somebody else that was out there, because a lot of these people didn't run, but somebody else that was out in the projects at night ran up and picked his gun up off the ground as he was dead. He was already laying there dead and ran off. He said, so when it went to trial and I tried to prove that he shot at me, I had no proof. He said, the only reason I ended up finding out that he even, what kind of gun he had and that he had a revolver is because when I was talking to my people and then they was like, yeah, such and such picked the gun up and then sold it, like a little snub-nosed revolver. He's like, that's how I knew he had a revolver. He's like, when they caught me, I'm telling the tech, y'all need to search the area. Like, there's shell casings, man. He shot at me, there should be shell casings. We didn't find any other shell casings. They took the dude's body to the morgue, did the autopsy, cleaned him, cleaned his fingernails, and at this point, they didn't know who the shooter was. So they didn't test the dude's hands for gunpowder residue. They didn't test his fingernails or none of that for gunpowder residue. By the time they caught, you know, Burner for this, dude was already in the ground. Probably already starting to decay. Funeral service has been held. It's been, you know, some time has passed now. Burner went on to get sentenced on a second-degree murder charge and put in prison for over 20 years. And listening to that story, I thought, you know, he didn't do anything that I don't think any of us wouldn't have done if put in that situation. Burner was already a convicted felon. The gun he ended up getting jammed up with, part of his plea deal was he had to let them know where the gun was. They wanted to recover the gun, so he told them what he did with the gun. The gun comes back stolen. Convicted felon in possession of stolen firearm, possession of stolen firearm in the commission of a felony, possession of a stolen firearm in the commission of a murder, and then the murder charge. Burner, as a young man, will go on to get him enough time that he'd be an old man when he comes up out of here. Now, I always try to give y'all something good from the bad. Now, what I want y'all to get out of today's story is, first and foremost, try to limit the altercations you have in life. If you think that you're going to do something to somebody grimy, take something from somebody, hurt somebody, and that might be the end of it, you never know. That might be the end of you. I'm not an advocate for calling the cops, but right is right and wrong is wrong. You know what I mean? With the first dude, he wasn't no street dude. He had a whole entire family in the house. He said he just wasn't the type, I wasn't going to call the cops. I said, so you was going to risk them killing you and your whole entire family for the stock with all these drugs in it? Didn't really say much. He just got back into his case. Like I said, I told you what I would have done. I would have hid, wait till they showed up, and once I seen the guns in their hands, I'd have ambushed them and laid them down. Just, you know, me thinking about it, that's exactly what I would have probably done. I'm not saying I'm a killer, I'm just saying, if you're there to give me Somebody's got to live to see tomorrow, and I'm a damn sure make sure it's me. The second guy with Burner, what Burner did was 100% self-defense. He had been shot at twice. He said that there are ballistics teams out there trying to see where the guy's bullets struck. He said, I don't know, Jay, if they traveled in between the buildings and the bullets went into the woods or hit another nearby house, but they never found any traces of anything that had to do with a gun or him firing at me. He said, we even had people out there that, you know, went on to say at trial that, yeah, this guy pulled up and shot at him first. He said, but the prosecution tried to make it like, since I had so many family members and friends out there, that they were just lying for me to get my murder charge dropped to, you know, some type of self-defense plea. Y'all need to think before you act, man. People, places, and things. 3 things right there that'll get you in trouble. The people you hang around, the places you go, and the things you're into. Those things, a lot of times, are going to play a major role in what you do in life and how your life goes. If that's a life you live, any of that sounds familiar to what you got going on today, I want you to take the rest of the day and reflect on the 2 stories you just heard. And if you're pushed into that corner or end up dealing with a situation like that, I want you to try to look at other ways to handle the situation. Because rather than dying, I can tell you firsthand, prison is worse than death. When it comes to a daily existence of just having nothing, being broken, if you get a number that is so high that you're never coming home, to be honest, if I had to pick or choose between life in prison or death, I think I would choose death. Because every day that you wake up in prison, you're alive, but you're dead at the same time. You become dead on the inside, dead to the world, forgotten about. Troy, if he does and he have anybody still around, he won't always. But y'all pay attention, man. Y'all listen to me, please. I wouldn't want to see any of y'all ever end up locked up. Anybody ever comment and say, man, remember your sub that was always commenting they got killed or they got locked up? That's not what I want. It's not what I want for me, not what I want for the ones I love, and it's not what I want for any of y'all. Anyway, man, these detention centers, these jails, these prisons, these facilities, they're all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. Y'all know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. And to all my real ones and awesome real ones watching, because y'all still watching me. Y'all know how we do. Salute.